Before transitioning into tech, I considered myself tech adequate more than tech savvy. I was great at using engineering related software, even some programming for math and engineering applications. But I was in no way technically adequate for a solution engineering role in the tech industry. What I did know is that I can pick up things quickly. And if I knew what I needed to learn, I can go out and learn it, start to get the basics down and build a strong foundation to start getting some experience. Then I can know enough just to be dangerous. Because then knowing enough to be dangerous is a prerequisite to knowing enough to be valuable. Thanks for being here. My name is Zezo Hassan, and I'm a lead solution engineer for data and AI at Salesforce. Today, we'll talk about some of the basic technical skills that can help you on your way to the solution engineering role. This video is especially for people coming from a non-technical background and who want to know what topics they should be researching about, learning about, and getting more experience in. If you already have a strong technical background, this video can help you contextualize how your technical acumen can take shape in the solution engineering role. So let's talk about the technical knowledge you'll need. For me, while I know I can learn things quick, I didn't actually know where to start and where to begin learning the technical skills I need for the role. So I learned a little bit about a lot of things and a lot of things about a little bit of things. And one of the things I focused on was networks and APIs, which actually served me well when it was for the technical support engineering role that I used to get my foot in the door into Salesforce. But now I've learned a lot more about what is more applicable to the solution engineering role. Depending on where you become an SE, some of this information can actually be a must-have to get into the solution engineering role. And some of it can be a nice-to-have that could perhaps take you further once you become an SE. First, let's talk about the technical foundation that a business needs to run. At a most basic level, a business will need somewhere to store their data. Then they're going to need something or some tool to use that data to run their business, like HR, sales, or marketing. Then on top of that, they're going to need somewhere for people to engage. So that could be a brick and mortar store, like if this is a retail type business, or it could be an online engagement tool, like if it's a bank and you're logging into your online portal, or maybe it's an e-commerce like Amazon where you go shopping. Depending on the industry of business or the type of business that you're working with, online business or more retail like brick and mortar, there'll be a lot of different variations of this type of technical foundation. And a single business can even have multiple complications to this technical foundation. Even in their data storage, they could have it in multiple places, like in the cloud or multiple local servers. And in the applications that they're using to run their business, something they're using for HR, like an HRIS, or perhaps something they're using for a service and marketing and sales need to access that data in different frequencies. Some of it, they need the data updated every day, every week. Some of it may be real time. And of course, the engagement layer. How do we want people to engage with this data and these applications? And how do we want to think about the different personas engaging, whether they're customers or internal employees? Maybe employees from different departments. And from all of these different layers, we need to think about how they're communicating with each other. Like I mentioned, there's a batches situation where maybe they're updated every day versus real time. There's also the method of integration, that in which case we can get really technical and really in the weeds of how all of these things work together and connect. And on top of all of that, we also need to think about the layers of security to wrap this whole technical foundation in, making sure that only the people that need to access the data can access the data. Now, this foundation is very helpful to keep in mind, as this gives you somewhat of a blueprint of the technical foundation that a business needs to run. In other words, this is really the IT infrastructure that helps support a business. You can be a solution engineer at a company that perhaps focuses on HR applications, like Workday, for example. So this could be your domain. And in your domain, you're focusing on everything an HR rep needs, HR management needs for reporting, and perhaps the external users, whether it's internal candidates, maybe external candidates looking to apply for specific jobs, whatever it is that HR's stakeholders need. You would have very deep knowledge into how they would need to access data, what they need to do with the data, and in what engagement layers they can interact with that data. That's a very basic way to put it. You could be an SE for a very technical type company that focuses on development or feature management. Think like GitHub or LaunchDarkly. And they would be a very niche type of solution and somewhere in this IT infrastructure where they would focus their solution engineering efforts. So to wrap up, really where you're an SE will determine where your domain lies. If you're an SE at a company that supports HR or service, like I mentioned, then those are your domains. You'll need to know how data goes in and out for people within your domain. If you're in the service world and you're working a lot with agents and customer support supervisors, you need to know where they're getting their data and how they're using it. And with that comes an understanding where the data is stored, how it's protected and secured, and might even need to take a broader picture of understanding what other systems this tool that you're solutioning for needs to be connected with. And that can be encompassed with an oversimplification here of the IT infrastructure in those three layers: a data layer where typically data is stored, an application layer, which is typically business logic that applies to how we use that data, and then finally the engagement layer. This is essentially between the human using the data, or nowadays maybe even AI agents using the data, and between the applications and the data itself. We just covered the basic infrastructure needed to support a business at a very, very basic level. But now that can serve as a map for the technical foundations that you can start learning to make yourself a competitive solution engineering candidate. So where do you start learning? The easiest way, if you already have an idea of where you want to become an SE, is to go to your target company's website and learn the learning material that they offer. Perhaps you want to be a sales engineer at Google. Then you'd search for those Google certifications and complete those modules. Perhaps you want to be a solution engineer at a company like OpenAI to be an AI SE. You could research what they offer, or even look at Microsoft or Azure OpenAI to see what type of learning and training material that they provide. Or if you wanted to be a solution engineer at Salesforce like me, I used the Trailhead portal to learn the ins and outs of the Salesforce platform, which has served me really well into my journey to solution engineering. The longer you're a solution engineer, the greater the depth and breadth of your technical knowledge becomes. It's always good to evaluate your objectives of improving your technical knowledge. Right now, if you have no technical background at all and are just looking to strengthen your technical credibility, to go for a solution engineering role or an adjacent technical role, then start out with the basics that are already spelled out in a certification path or in a modular path, like on their learning or training website. The idea is to set yourself up with attainable wins just to get you started and get yourself some momentum. The more you learn, the more context you'll have on what you may want to delve into next. Perhaps you want to be more of a generalist SE that explores the different ends of the technical infrastructure. Or instead, you may find yourself enjoying more of a specialist type role where you delve into specific niche or domain. The key here is just to get started. So find something that can get you an easy win and get you started on the right path. Next, we'll talk about how to use that to build up more of your confidence. I didn't really have a roadmap of where I should start when I started teaching myself technical skills to become an SE. I knew I wanted to be an SE at Salesforce, so I did a lot of work on Trailhead, but I also joined boot camps, got my MBA, and watched YouTube videos on programming. And I learned a couple of programming languages, mostly the high-level languages like SQL and Python, and I even practiced building stuff myself. While I haven't made use of a lot of what I learned in my day-to-day job, it has given me a lot of confidence in my technical capabilities. The best way to overcome any intimidation over technical skills is just to go and break some eggs. This video already showed you where you can start. There were certainly times where learning those technical skills felt quite overwhelming, and it can be a big takeover, especially if you come from a completely non-technical background. But let me tell you one thing. It's quite unlikely that you're the first person to make the jump from your background to the solution engineering role. I've met SEs who, before they became an SE, were high school English teachers, or they worked in healthcare, or they were at the hotel front desk as receptionists, or they were maybe managers at factories and warehouses. What they all have in common is somehow discovering their interest in tech, diving into it, then paving their path to an SE role. So go and get started. Get your hands on something sooner than later. Find attainable projects or certifications just to help you get a hold of the basics before you go any deeper. Once you get started, you'll quickly start to have fun. Then just as quickly, you're going to hit a wall or you're going to get stuck and feel quite a bit of frustration. You'll find that you'll make a lot of mistakes, some of them very easy and rookie type mistakes. And those mistakes are going to be your best teachers. Just remember, you don't have to do all of that alone, which brings me to my next point. Connect with others in the ecosystem that you want to join. Don't put off networking just for when you're ready to search for jobs. Do it also while you're building your technical foundations. Find others in the same boat as you, or find others who were in a similar spot that you're in and then made it to where you want to go. Share your experiences and learn from theirs. There's huge value to gain and to give from these connections. Building up your technical skills is a fun and challenging process. This video is meant to help give you some ideas on where to start to pursue the route that resonates most with where you're at in your technical journey. The blueprint we started with is thinking about the technical infrastructure a business needs to run to give you a lay of the land of the type of technical conversations you may have with your customers as a solution engineer. By starting with attainable modules or certifications, you'll get a good grasp on the basics and be well on your way to sharpening your technical skills and build that technical foundation to help you on your way to a future SE role, which is something you can definitely do. In the next video, we'll look at the other side of the coin and learn about the business perspective of a solution engineering role. Specifically, we'll talk about how exactly solution engineers support the sales process and how your business acumen can take shape. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about building your technical skills after watching this video. What else do you want to delve into in terms of the technical perspective of a solution engineering role? Is the technical part of the role something overwhelming or something more exciting for you? As always, I'd love to hear from you. So let me know in the comments below, and I'll keep responding to comments as they come in, and keep an eye out for any feedback that could help me plan future videos that would be most valuable to you.